Wait, this bike runs on what? The CEO gasped, his expensive watch glinting under the sunlight as he stared at the old, rusty two-wheeler that everyone in the office used to mock. What began as laughter turned into stunned silence, and that's when everything changed. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me till the end, because this story will remind you why you should never judge someone by their appearance, or their ride. It all started on a regular Monday morning outside Titan Tech Industries, one of the biggest tech companies in the city. The employees rushed in, polished shoes clicking against the marble floor, but one man arrived differently, quietly, on a squeaky old bicycle that looked like it belonged in a junkyard. His name was Arif, the janitor. A thin man in his 50s, with rough hands and kind eyes, Arif never said much. Every morning, he parked his faded blue bike near the gate, nodded at the guard, and went about sweeping the halls and mopping the floors, but that morning, something unusual happened. As Arif parked his bike, a sleek black limousine rolled in. Out stepped the new CEO, Adrian Blake, a man known for his arrogance as much as his success. Tall, sharply dressed, with a cold smile that never reached his eyes, Adrian had made headlines for turning companies around, and for firing people without hesitation. He paused when he saw Arif's rusty bike leaning against the wall. "Who owns that thing?" Adrian sneered, glancing at the guard. "I didn't know our staff was collecting museum pieces." The security guard smiled awkwardly. "That's Arif's, sir. Our janitor." Adrian chuckled. "Tell him I'll buy him a real bike when he learns to use a car." He said it loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. A few employees laughed softly, the kind of nervous laughter that hides guilt. Arif heard it too. He simply smiled, bowed his head, and went back to work without saying a word. Over the next few weeks, Adrian made big changes. He demanded long hours, pushed impossible deadlines, and seemed to take pride in breaking people's spirits. But while others grumbled, Arif continued doing his job with quiet dedication. Every day, he came early, left late, and somehow kept a gentle kindness in his tone, even when people ignored him. One evening, when most employees had gone home, Adrian stayed behind, reviewing financial reports. The building was silent except for the faint sound of a mop swishing. Curious, Adrian walked out of his office and saw Arif cleaning near the lobby. The janitor's bike was still parked outside, glinting faintly under the lamplight. "Don't you ever get tired, old man?" Adrian asked, more out of boredom than kindness. Arif looked up with his usual calm smile. "Tired, yes, sir. But when we have a purpose, tiredness becomes lighter." Adrian frowned. "Purpose? You clean floors. What purpose could there be in that?" Arif's eyes softened. "The same purpose in everything, sir, to make things better than we found them." Adrian didn't reply. He walked away, oddly unsettled by those words. The next morning, a small crowd gathered outside the gate. Adrian, arriving in his limousine, noticed the commotion. Arif was there, adjusting something on his old bike. Someone whispered, "He says he's going to show something incredible." Adrian rolled his eyes but decided to watch, if only for amusement. Arif turned a small lever on the side of the bike, then poured a clear liquid from a plastic bottle into a small tank. "What's that?" an employee asked. "Water," Arif replied. The crowd chuckled. Adrian smirked. "Water? You're saying that bike runs on water?" Arif simply smiled. "Yes, sir. Would you like to see?" Before anyone could respond, Arif hopped onto the bike, pressed a switch, and the old machine came alive with a soft hum. The chain moved smoothly, no smoke, no noise. He pedaled once, and the bike glided forward effortlessly. The wheels turned, powered by a small modified motor that left no exhaust, no fuel smell. It ran flawlessly, quiet and clean. Gasps filled the air. Adrian stepped forward, disbelief in his eyes. How is that possible?" Arif dismounted and gently tapped the tank. "Years ago, I worked as a mechanical engineer. I had a small lab. I lost my job when the company shut down. My family needed food, so I took this job. But I never gave up on my dream, to build something that could help people, especially the poor. The silence that followed was heavy. For the first time, Adrian didn't know what to say. The man he had mocked for his old bike had built something revolutionary, something his billion-dollar company had never achieved. Word spread fast. Engineers from Titan Tech gathered to examine the bike. The news reached investors and scientists. Within days, reporters camped outside the building. Adrian called Arif into his office. Now humbled, "Arif, why didn't you tell anyone about this?" Adrian asked softly. "I did, sir," Arif said, smiling faintly. But no one listened. People only saw a janitor, not an inventor. Those words hit Adrian like a blow. He leaned back in his chair, ashamed. He had built his career on power and image, yet here stood a man who had created something extraordinary with nothing but faith and persistence. Adrian made a decision that day. Titan Tech would back Arif's invention fully. They created a new department for sustainable innovation, with Arif leading it. For the first time in decades, Arif's hands were no longer holding a mop, they were sketching blueprints and testing prototypes. Months passed. The water cycle project became global news. Bikes powered by water began rolling out in poor villages where people couldn't afford fuel. Arif's idea changed lives, saving families money, reducing pollution, and inspiring thousands. And every time Arif saw someone riding one, he whispered a prayer of gratitude. One evening, during the grand launch event, Adrian stood on stage, speaking before hundreds of people. "We often measure worth by title, wealth, or education," he said, glancing at Arif in the front row. "But today, I learned that wisdom can shine even from the humblest places, sometimes brighter than gold." The crowd erupted in applause. Arif smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. For once, he wasn't invisible, and as the camera zoomed out, the narrator's voice came in. "So next time you see someone who looks ordinary, remember, every person carries a story, a dream, and a spark waiting to be seen." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it, because kindness and respect can change more than lives, they can change the world.